In these two different images, I created an emotional appeal through the use of colors and reference to the flags of each country. This also allows each demographic to look at the flyer and create a happy and safe emotional response to these images because they can relate to them. This cultural familiarity to the flag will be the one thing that we'll remember the most about these images because each country knows what they mean and what they stand for. Having these colors to create unity for the company and direct their attention to their cause and what we are trying to do for the main purpose. We want to touch as many people in a positive way as we can. According to Lester Paul, author of Visual Communications, states a shape that is quickly recognized is clearly separated from the background of the image. The three basic shapes are polygons, circles, and triangles. For these three shapes, variations that make all known or imagined forms can be created. A name of a form created by a combination of shapes is a polygon. This is also a visual attribute. Creating meaning is to assign to each shape. Having the children in the background creates a familiar response to their clothes, backgrounds, and ethnicity. Shows you how to relate to each different culture based off of their appearance and shapes. A human will always try to relate back to a familiar image to create meaning behind what is happening or being presented to them. Our minds are always trying to find an answer, and I will give it to them by showing the images that are relatable to them. This will keep their attention longer because they don't want to have to think hard about what is being presented. With these images attached, each culture will be able to relate to the image in a positive way, which will correlate to a happy thought every time they see our brand or flyer. It will create purpose or meaning for what we stand for to follow our cause, just like Martin Luther King did when he gave his I Have a Dream speech. Some semiotics are the flags that are represented that is a symbol to each individual can relate to. Also, having the children on the flyer will help relate back to a country trying to connect with it. The American logo shows diverse ethnicities of kids. It also shows a playground in the background that that Americans can relate to. Last, you can tell that the Americans by the type of their clothing and hairstyles worn. The Libya kids, you can tell them based off their clothes they are wearing. In the background, there is only sand presented. Only one of the Libya kids is also wearing a hood over their head, and both have a lot of color in their clothes. One of the kids is also wearing a homemade bracelet that is not very common in American culture. The semiotics will allow each culture to differentiate the flyers presented and have a positive emotion when presented.